Hello YouTubers, ZeroMagnumX here. This is Armin the Meklords episode 3, and this is part 2 of the do's and don'ts of Meklords. In this segment we will cover spell and trap cards. Likewise, I'll finish this video and segment by suggesting cards that do work. So if it's a little bit longer, I apologize, but it's to cover aspects. So, without further ado, here's the video. Alright, first we'll get right into it with the spells and traps. I'll list them and then I'll explain them. This is the common Meklord field spell. Fortissimo, the mobile fortress. It's their draw card reboot. Wait, no, sorry. Their graveyard grab card, I guess you could call it, called Reboot. Boon of the Meklord Emperor is the draw card. The Resolute Meklord Army, which is a continuous spell card. Trap cards, Mech-Timid Blast or Mech-Time Blast, however you want to say it. And then Microfactory. Okay. First, Fortissimo, the mobile fortress. Alright, at first glance, this card seems really good, especially for Xyz. If you guys don't know what the field spell does, I'll read it to you. Once per turn, you can special summon one Meklord army monster from your hand. That seems really good and really potentially broken. The problem is whenever this is on the field, I ran into the situation of not having good Meklord armies. If you're building a straight Meklord army beatdown kind of deck, this isn't a bad field spell to consider. However, you only have, in a case like that, 9 targets to get onto the field with this. That actually goes against your monster count in most cases. Unless you're running 17 monsters, you can't do much. And if you're going to put duality in for decks that run less monsters, you can't special summon in the same turn. So the mobile fortress can be pretty pointless. It's a nice, good, first glance calming card, and then you realize it's not that powerful, not that useful. I mean, you can try it, but it's, I don't know. It doesn't come off as that great. You could probably use it in a deck that would focus around Astral Dragon for fun. And like I said, you'd have to build an army type deck then. You wouldn't be using the Emperors that much. You'd be focusing on being able to like set him, let him die, get him out, normal summon one of these, and then be able to special summon and then get an Astral Dragon. But that's kind of eliminating your card advantage. But it's possible. Okay. Next, Reboot. That's what it looks like. It states, shuffle one Meklord monster from your hand into the deck. Select one Meklord card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. It's good for regeneration. Like I said, you would have to build a Meklord army deck to really benefit from this card, because you could recycle your skills and so on, and you could play through that strategy. But it requires you to have the appropriate cards in place, and that can be an issue. It doesn't give you straight up advantage. It requires specifics. So that's a problem, unless you're really building the deck. They don't have enough lower level Meklords. Like, they don't have even a Meklord support monster to help you out. So there's a lot of luck involved. Secondly, you can't really utilize the Emperors in a deck like this. They can aid, but they can't really help out that much. So, alright, the next card is Boon of the Meklord Emperor. Alright, it's not a bad card, but it's not usually that great. I mean, the general idea was that you could play your field spell, get 2 Meklord monsters on the field, and then use this card. So your opening would be, you know, Fortissimo, sorry about that. Fortissimo, the mobile fortress. Alright, and then you summon one of your Meklords and summon another one, which isn't bad, and then play Boon for an opening turn, and then maybe pull into your Astral Dragon and stuff, but it's still a random drawing to get to your strategy. And it requires a lot of setup that if your opponent has any counter tactics, it's not going to work. So I probably don't recommend Boon of the Meklord Emperor. I tested these cards out, and like I said, they're not as good. Boon would be really great if the Emperors themselves worked like the anime Emperors, where you have Meklord pieces on the field. Alright. And then if this would count the pieces for the Meklord monster, okay, you could then play, because they'd be counted as individual monsters and you could draw. If they would say like Meklord, attack unit 1 or something like that for the arm, and then the Meklord carrier, they count as monsters, and then you'd be able to pull it off of the end. But because the TCG is far different, not really a good idea. Okay, the next one I don't think I've seen in really any deck, to be honest. This guy is the Resolute Meklord Army. It's this continue spell here. Pretty cool artwork, I must admit. I like the artwork on there, especially for a common card. It's really fantastic the way it looks. But that's about the best thing about this card, is the artwork they put into it. Alright. Meklord Army monsters you control in face-up attack position cannot be destroyed by battle, but their effects are negated. It's not like horrible, but you lose out on getting like Granule, baby Granule out. And again, it plays into all the support. That I before mentioned, like the reboots, having a partial use, the Boon of the Meklord Emperor, the Fortissimo, the Mobile Fortress, and that's for a Meklord army deck using, Astral Dragon here. And that's okay, but I don't think it's the greatest, idea to use those. Because I've tested it out, and it's inconsistent. Like, you have to have these cards on the field to combo together. If you don't, the deck falls apart. Okay. I'm going to discuss why these two are bad, and at first they seem really promising. Okay, Mech Timed Blast. Select one face-up Meklord monster you control, and one card your opponent controls. Destroy both cards. There's quite a few problems with this card. And believe me, I used it. It was in my old Meklord deck, and I thought it was pretty good. But let's get into some realistic issues here. First, you have to require a Meklord to be on the field. And it has to be face up. That may not always be the wisest move, and you may want something else on the way. It requires you to destroy your Meklord monster and theirs. So, unless you have an Emperor in hand, this can require you to dead draw. Or not dead draw, but be dead. It can be a dead draw. It can be useless, because you have to have the Emperors there. So, Mech Timed Blast, probably look for something better. I mean, Torrential Tribute is just even better. There's a lot of cards that you can use to not have to use Mech Timed Blast to get your Emperors out. Like I said, Torrential's a great card in this deck. And I know that's a one of, and Mech Timed Blast is more than one of, but trust me, folks, whenever I say there's better ways around it for win conditions. Alright, the last one is Microfactory. This card generally hosts the problem that first it destroys, it doesn't banish. At first glance, this is a really, 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 really good card. Okay, and it seems like it's really powerful and really beneficial. I'll go over its effect. Activate when a face-up Meklord monster on the field is selected as an attack target. Select one Meklord army monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Then destroy the attack target. Okay. The first problem is this can be used against Meklords in the mirror match. So you have a Meklord on the field and you attack at it, and then you can select a Meklord army monster that would be in your graveyard, and then you could put it in your hand. Because it has to, you don't have to control the Meklord monster that's being attacked. And then you have to destroy the attack target. This has 3 to 4 major problems with it. The first is that you have to require to have a Meklord army monster in your graveyard. There's got to be one chilling out. It's got to be an army monster. It can't just be any Meklord. It can't be the Emperors or anything. It has to be one of these guys. Okay? So one of these have to be going to be attacked for you to use this. Alright, then, alright, you have to destroy the attacking target. Stardust Dragon exists in this game. 3 Mystical Space Typhoon and Heavy Storm exist in this game currently. And you also, and Thought Ruler Archfiend, alright, this card targets, I'm pretty sure, because it, yeah. So Thought Ruler Archfiend probably can even stop this thing. Because it says, then destroy the attack target. So this has a plethora of problems with it in that sense. So I probably would not use it. Just saying. Again, looks like a great card. Looks like a Sakuretsu armor with an add monster in hand. But you have to have the requirements of field to even use it. You can't just freely launch it. Alright, strategies that do work for the do's and don'ts of Meklord. Alright. And I believe I discussed this before, but I will go over it again. Okay. This is a strategy that works. Malefic End Dragon, Ancient Gear Gachilotron Dragon, Machina Fortress, Gear Town, and Meklord Fortress. Okay. These cards add synergy to the deck, because most of the Meklords are big beater type cards. They work. Malefic End Dragon himself is an OTK if you have limited removal. This gets special summoned through ridiculous means, and can be tribute summoned whenever you have Gear Town active, and that's the point of a deck. Machina Fortress, if you have that dead Meklord and him in your hand and can swing for 25 per game, do it. Does that level 1 plus him make the cost for him? Gear Town has a synergy to the deck that is just insane. And then Meklord Fortress, you can play this, set Gear Town, this goes, add an Emperor to hand. It's a free search. And while this is active, it protects your Meklord monsters, well, Meklord Emperor monsters, from being targeted by the effects of Synchro monsters. So, you know, your Meklord can't die to something like Scrap Dragon and so on whenever this is out. And I think they avoid Bryonic. I think Bryonic targets. If not, I apologize. But yeah, so that's a strategy that does work. Other strategies I've seen tossed around is whenever Meklord monsters are used attack, and use something like Aurora Paragon, and use a Chaos Meklord deck, since Weisel is Dark type. They kind of have a synergist nature about them, and then you can throw in Chaos Sorcerer and so on. So those are some strategies to consider for what does work. Those are some do's. Anywho, that concludes this segment. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was enlightening. And this is episode 3 of Arming the Meklords. And ZeroMagnumX out. Peace, YouTube.